Hi everyone. Today is March the 22nd. My name is Anne-Marie Band and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. I'm going to do my heavens best to cut down on the length of these videos. I feel like they've been very long lately. I just have been a little bit out of pocket and I want to make sure that I get everything to everyone. Notice what happened yesterday. We spiked up but could not hold up across most of the indices. So what are we seeing today? We're just going to take a broad look here and then you know what to do with the volatility bands. Look at yesterday's video. If there's some space there, we are still in a buy the dip mode. Let me show you what 30 minutes looks like for the ES Noti. Notice buy the dip means that we look on the edges of support to see where we can stabilize into the next space. That really does look like this line I drew yesterday at about 52.97, 52.98. We did talk about that. We've got upward momentum on the daily space. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times we go, ooh, it's moving up. It's going to roll over. No. Notice what's happening here. Let's take a look at this day as an example. If we look at the momentum here and we see what happens, there's nothing here in price action and the tight moving averages that tell us anything's a rollover perspective until we stop making highs. See, here's what happens. This is the opening tick of this day in the red candle on December the 20th. It can't even hold the close of the prior day. Once that happens, sellers will become more active and then you can go, oh, you know what? This is a dip. This is a buy the dip. So I can do one of two things. I can sit around and wait for the bus that says, okay, this is your buy the dip bus. Or I can hop on the bus that goes, hey, I'm going to take a quick ride down to the moving average or prior holds in the support zone, and then I'm going to get out. So although this is very high up, it is telling us, listen, it is still buy the dip. What you want to watch for today is how do we hold the opening tick, right? Yesterday, I was on Top Step TV. We did fast markets together in the open of the day, and I said, hey, you know what? My suspicion is that what's going to happen to us is that we are going to start to rotate down as long as we fail to head higher, and then we lose the opening tick. And that's exactly what we did. So you want to watch that opening tick today. Here is the SPY in that same space. A lot of us are not not approved for buying and selling futures options. You know, someplace like Tradeovate that will be up on the horizon very, very soon. But I would say, listen, there is a lot of money to be made in the futures option space. Get yourself approved and we can kick the tires around together because, as you know, I spent a lot of time in the futures environment. Here's a corresponding SPY. Take a look. We gapped up, could not hold the opening tick. Look at where we pulled back to, the close of 2 days ago. Take a look at where we bounced at the open, the close of 2 days ago and the low of yesterday. Are traders trying to buy the dip? You betcha. We've got measured moves. Today on Strategy Lab on Top Step TV, we'll be talking about that. But also at 11 o'clock on Benzinga Television, we are going to be talking about options set up today. And I've got some pretty interesting ones that I want to share with you, as well as telling you how good the ones we've done in days past are doing, right? Particularly Boeing and the Apple position. So there we look at that. Here's SPY. Let's go down to the 30-minute and see what the moving averages and formations are telling us. Have a look. Are we near yesterday's highs? Well, no, we are not. Have we tested yesterday's lows and are lifting above them? Well, at the very end of the day, we made the lows, so we really haven't retested them, except for this little gap. And so we are moving into resistance here. The key event is going to be the following. How do we behave up here near 523? It is my suspicion that we follow the same path that we've done the last 2 Thursdays and Fridays, and that is bounces are going to fade into higher lows because we've got a ton. If you look at volume profiles, this is so thin. We've got to start filling it in just a little bit so that we can be stable. All right. So again, what does this tell us? This says, hey, buy the dip. If momentum is down and trend is flat, you want to wait to the bottom of the range in order to say, hey, I'm going to buy. Okay. Now notice we have had higher lows, but that's really under this type of momentum down here. Here, we're struggling to hold, and if this continues down, this is going to come in to test the 522. This is the do or die for me in SPY. If it holds 522, we should see some upward pressure for the ES. For those of us who trade futures together, that number is this 52.99, the one that we tested earlier, right? And so that's what we're going to look. Today, again, options expiry, a lot of zero DTE stuff in motion, but with last week's expiration, what we did notice is a lot of positive gamma rolled off, and so charts might dribble just a little bit, right? You can learn a lot about positive gamma and those kinds of things from Mentor Q, who I think is really they're the best ones in the space in terms of trying to educate people as well. And you can see them down in the right up there. You can learn about them. So let's take a look at the NQ. Okay, so somebody had some pretty good earnings, and I forget, FedEx reported pretty good. I don't know who else reported, but I think another tech company reported fairly well, maybe yesterday or sometime. But take a look at what happened here. We gapped up, we ran all the way to this 18,711. This tells me my Fibonacci is sitting in a cluster of Fibonacci's that a lot of other people are looking at, and so we are not going to adjust that Fibonacci because it absolutely came to the tick. And so that tells me that a lot of people are looking at that number. That being said, what do we want to watch? Listen, above 18,600, they're going to try and run it again. It can go to 711, it can go to 802, but what we want to pay attention to is, can we hold the close of 2 days ago? That's where everybody is battling, right? 2 days ago, and what was 2 days ago? That was when the Fed told us what they were planning on doing, which, again, a word salad event, but nevertheless, they are trying to give us some measure of motion. So if we lose 542, we could easily come down and test this moving average again, all right? Very, very important, but it has broken out, right? Things break in the direction of the pole. It's broken out. A retest with a higher low is likely in this particular formation. Let's take a look at the 30-minute. Notice how much weaker the price action has been in the pre-market and the current events. What does the price need to do? Well, it needs to hold this edge, folks. We just talked about it. Let me move it all the way down. 533, 532.50. That's really what we want to look at, 532.50. Right? Look at the momentum. It's very likely to go into here, right? Moving averages are flat. The 30, very, very flat. And so this is a range trade. Buyers going to be great down here at the 532.50 until they're not. But you only have about 10, 12 points of risk. If it breaks the edge, you get out, right? Wait for the next train until it recovers and you can go to the upside, or it confirms the breakdown and then you can write it down to this next level at 18,436. Let's take a look at the corresponding cues. First, we look at the days. All right, again, this is the only one I have in yellow, right? Neutral to bullish formation. Why? Because it hasn't broken out of the range. You can see that the futures market is being used to hedge, and the ETFs are sort of grinding their way through. They're not moving the way the futures are moving, and this is an important thing to put in the back of your mind and go, I wonder what that means. Don't say, I know what that means. Just go, wow, those things are moving differently. I need to pay attention, because when they don't move in the same tandem, things tend to happen that are out of the ordinary. Okay, so here we are. Do or die for 446. If they lose this ledge, they are going to be below the close of 2 days ago, Fed day. And then that means they step back into 443.87, 443, and potentially 440. Now, if they come into 443.87 and they begin to bounce, then we could easily get back up into 446, 448, and 450. I suspect this price action is what we're going to see for a little bit, because that's going to work off these very big areas from a weekly perspective that show us extremely bullish and very, very much in overbought territory. It's just started fading, but the week is not out, and we're still holding. Price is master and commander, folks. It is not momentum. We don't get paid from momentum, right? I can't go, hey, I want to buy the 50 momentum and sell the 80 momentum. We can't do that. We can buy a price and sell a price and make money. So the focal point should be price. What did we do? We filled the gap here yesterday. And now we're struggling here. What is my suspicion? Bounces or sell zones. That's where I'm sitting, right? That is exactly where I'm sitting from that perspective, right? We can definitely see bounces or sell zones here in this space. All right, let's go to the YM. A lot of us trade the YM recently, which I love. I think it's fantastic that more of us are trading the YM. It's a beautiful product. It is very green. Look at the momentum. Massive, right? This is a massive break. My thought would be they're going to pump the brakes on this one. Now, yesterday, I had 40,231, and it went up a little bit higher than that. And so what I want to do is lift this into that high, and that's going to give me that 4286 zone. I'm going to adjust that fib so it gets closer to that edge, and I know it's an edge that more people are looking at because it faded right off that zone from that measured move. Okay, so here I'm going to say the range resistance is 4280 with 521 ahead of us. Okay. And so what do we anticipate? Pullbacks or buy zones. So where should the pullback be? I don't know. It could be all the way down to 40,000, right? My thought is that we're looking at where the Fed day, that's a Wednesday, that's where the Fed day was. I wouldn't be surprised if we came back and tested 40,000 today, just in a standard rotation. All right, taking a look at 30-minute, we can see that it's much stronger than everyone else, right? This is a sideways pattern. When price breaks a trend by time, meaning it stays locked in a space, it tends to move in the direction of trend. So what does that tell us? Hey, listen, if you get up over this 40,295, probably don't need to be shorty, right? It is buy the dip. Look at what's happening down here. But Anne-Marie, moving averages are flat. Yes, but price is all that matters. Price is what matters. And moving averages are telling us if they're flat, they're saying, hey, listen, look for your deeper areas of support and try to buy there. And that's 40,180. I was looking for 40,180 yesterday. If you saw me trade live there with the folks, but I realized that 40,200 was that better fade. And certainly it did come into that towards the end of the day. I just had to wait until the end of the trading day, which is late if you're here in my neck of the woods, Portugal. Well, it's my neck of the woods for lately. All right, here's what I talked about with oil. I said, hey, listen, this is coming into key resistance. Watch out. 80 is still the floor that I like to look at. It's a good round number. And here we are at 818 to 823 or so. And they're bouncing off that edge. All right. Key line of support is still down here at 79.30, but it is a buy the dip formation, particularly sitting right here. What do you want to see? You want to see price action lift over this wick. And that's above the 82 level. We'll see what happens. All right. Momentum is saying, I'm coming into the dip zone. So you look at old resistance, new support, and then it looks great, right? Buying here looks good. Go small size. If it dips into 80 or 79.80, you've got some leeway, but you've got to start with a small position or this one is going to shred you. So you do want to be careful, all right? It is still in a sell the bounce type of formation, and you have to be careful about that. All right, lastly, we take a look at gold. Right, again, same thing that I talked about. Absolutely the same thing. I said, hey, listen, watch this. It's going to bounce and then fade because it is in a buy the dip event. This is the dip action, 2150, 2152. Here it is trying to hold at 2160, right? My thought is the following. We've got divergent action here. We had a savage sell-off, so I think the traders are going to come in here. Don't rush a buy the dip event here. It just is not the smart thing to do in my mind. It is in a breakaway space, and so, 2131 might ultimately be that number. It might even be 21. Come on in. 20, come on in. It might be 2121, okay? Okay, so that gives us this particular motion that we want to look for. If we look at a 30-minute, We can see that the traders are clearly looking for support action. Look at the trend. It breaks by time and not price, meaning it stays in the range. What is the trend? It's down. So it continues to move. Here it is, breaks by time. That means it moves sideways, but continues in the trend. Here it is, breaking by time. We expect it to fade into these heavier congestions. Momentum is not strong, right? Momentum is also not weak, desperately weak, so it's still following in trend. All right, everyone, good luck, and I'll see you on the platforms.